Andrew Urquhart with you on the program today. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome back to the Rhema studio Pastor Jeff Vines. Jeff, it is so nice to have you in the Rhema studio.
It's great to be in New Zealand. As I've said numerous times, the only place you can get a good coffee. You know, it takes a long time to get here, but it's worth it.
Exactly. And hey, it feels like you're home, because this is the space on this program where we're playing out today with Jeff Vines at 1:30 today, as we do every day. There's a lot of people that listen to the words that God gives you and apply those to their lives. You're amongst friends, Jeff.
Yeah, it does feel like when I come through the airport, the immigration officer always says "Welcome home," because I was in that strange place, that strange time of about 2 or 3 years where we were on the point system, and if you got enough points, you were given permanent residency.
Wow.
So I actually have permanent residency here, and I don't think I won't play that card as I get older.
Exactly. I think Dave Dobbin wrote a song about that, just for you, Jeff.
Yeah.
It's super good. Hey, we're coming to the end of what for some people has been a pretty tough year, 2025. First up, Jeff, what's that been like for you personally, for you, your family, your ministry? What's 2025 been like?
Yeah, well, 2021 and 22, COVID was very difficult. And then 23, recovering was a little bit better. And then 24, we hit our stride. So 25, to tell you the truth, has been probably the most productive year of my ministry.
Wow.
So I've had two sides to it. I've had a very productive year in ministry because we have a great team around us now. In fact, my chief of staff is traveling to New Zealand with me. His name is Jesus Arriaga. So I always tell people that I'm the only pastor probably that gets a text from Jesus every morning. Because it's spelled J-E-S-U-S.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's heard that a few times.
Yeah.
But we've got a great team now around me, so that's good. But also it's been a bit of a struggle from the standpoint that the country's so politically divisive now. And for the first time in my ministry, I've got to be so careful of saying the right thing the wrong way. I've got to choose my words wisely about any topic I choose to cover. And I always tell our people, I'm not here to be a politician. The difficulty is, the struggle is now that there are so many issues that are not political, they're downright Christian. Yeah. And so I've got to say something about them. Unfortunately, it's always taken politically, and that's a challenge.
It is a huge challenge. And wanting to jump into, I suppose, the sign of the times, the era that we're in. And hey, I'm not wanting to go all Book of Revelation on you, although I we've enjoyed sermons that you've preached on that topic. But what we're seeing in New Zealand, we see echoed perhaps even stronger in the United States. What's happening in terms of social division? What are you seeing, and what is it saying about us as a society, Jim?
Yeah, well, I think that there's two things again. Number one, identity is a huge issue. It has been for a long time. The difference now is that people are finding their identity in their political ideology. Yeah. And when you find your identity, so you find your worth in your political ideology. If you attack my political position, you're not only attacking an opinion I have about politics or social issues, you're actually attacking me. Yep. And if you're right, I lose me. Yeah. And so where that happened in the past religiously, think about it. Religious people are the same way. If I'm Islam, or if I'm Christian, or if I'm Hindu, when you're attacking my beliefs, you're attacking me, because that's my identity. And that's why oftentimes when religious people in the past got together, there would be conflict. Of course, Christians are supposed to be the salt and the light. And when we have someone who disagrees with us, we're supposed to talk and love. And we're not. So we haven't been so good at that in the past.
No.
And so now here we are. Politics is the new religion. Yeah. So it's not only a position I hold about how things should be, it's my identity. And if you don't agree with my identity, I don't even want to talk to you. I'll just basically cancel you.
Everyone, it seems, has become religious, but not the good part of religious. Yeah. Some of the negative aspects of that. How do you see this outworking from your point of view? Yes, we have some struggles here, but as I say, in the States, things are looking particularly toxic. People with even within families. I know you've just had the Thanksgiving ceremonies, some tough conversations around the family table.
I can imagine.
How is that looking at a political level, Jeff?
Well, this may be a side that you don't know, Andrew, and maybe New Zealand doesn't know about. And that is, there is a huge movement back to Jesus by the Gen Zs.
Yeah.
So we're finding that in our church. There was an organic movement that happened almost overnight. I wish I could tell you that it was my brainchild and I was very clever and I used the right language, but it has nothing to do with me. I'm the old guy now.
Yeah.
But there's a movement of Gen Zs. And to tell you the truth, I'm going to use a word here that I first heard in Australia, not here, and it's the word post-secular.
Yes.
And so I heard that with a group of pastors about a year ago. We're seeing that fulfill. So what we see in the Gen Zs, they've had enough of this. They've had enough of the political issues, the social issues. They just want they want to attach themselves to something that they think is going to last for a little bit longer than the present political party. Yeah. So there's a great movement of the Gen Zs back to the Bible, which is changing the way we're approaching them. And at the same time that's happening, it's actually, here's the shocker, Andrew. It's actually those primarily the millennials and even on up toward the 50-year-olds and even toward the 60-year-olds where the identity crisis has occurred because of the political situation.
No, I mean, there is good news and bad news in this one, but as you say, we're supposed to have our act together.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be example of what a fulfilled, rich life looks like. However, anecdotally hearing stories of Christian groups in cities in different parts of the world saying, oh no, we couldn't have a prayer meeting that involves those people because they have a different view on this political, on the social issue. They voted differently than me. They have a different view on the trans ideology. So I could not even pray to the God I believe in the same room as them. This is the depth of the divide. I mean, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. I can't imagine any practical, natural reading of the New Testament where you wouldn't understand that people who don't agree with you, the people that you think are far from God, are exactly the ones Christians are supposed to be pursuing. I don't know how you could read. You don't have to be a liberal, conservative, moderate. That's just a natural, typical reading of the Bible that we are to love all people.
Yes, that's true. And then human nature, of course. And hey, the first church, and everyone looks at the model and go, oh gosh, if only we were like the first church. What, fighting over circumcision? Let's not go back there. I think that we've established
good points and bad points.
Yeah. But having said that, I mean, this is the history of the church. Hey, if you get a group of people and they don't agree on something, church growth, they start another denomination. We've been doing this for a couple of thousand years, right?
Yeah, I go back to a book I think I mentioned last time we were together, and that's Rodney Stark wrote a book called The Rise of Christianity. What's interesting about the book, he's a secular atheist, and he really wants to know how on earth this motley crew of disciples and a carpenter from Nazareth was able to change the entire Greco-Roman world in 300 years. Yeah. How did that happen? And he goes back, and basically his answer is this, and it's undeniable. Compassion. Yeah. They're the ones who stayed behind when the diseases occurred and everyone ran away from them, unclean. The Christians stayed, bandaged the wounds. They were contagious, and many of them died. They valued all human life. So rather than throwing young girls in the river because you didn't get a boy, you know, they took them in, fed them, clothed them, raised them up. So that kind of compassion was so contagious that even those on the outside looking in thought, here's something different. Maybe this is a community I want to be a part of. And quite frankly, Andrew, I think that's the same thing that's going to change the world today.
I mean, this is what we need, and particularly when the world is so divided, as I say, socially and politically, to have a group of people that don't reject people based on the ideology, who they voted for, whether or not they're pro-Palestine or pro-Israel. These are tough topics indeed. And honestly, if the church is going to continue to attract a younger generation to an alternative way of living and thinking and believing and belonging, we've got to be different than that. Although, Jeff, honestly, some of the signs aren't good. The church is following the same models, the same sort of tribalism in this space.
Yeah, you're always going to have that temptation, and you're going to have that happen. And but what I've been trying to do over the last 10 years, Andrew, is ask the question why. Yeah. I want to know why it continues to make that mistake. Yeah. And I think, again, it goes back to, your identity. If your faith and your confidence sometimes is not so much in Jesus as in, and I got to be careful here, but in some kind of position you hold that you think earns you the right to be favored by God. Yeah. And so it's one thing to stand on biblical precepts and principles that salvation comes by grace through faith alone. It's another thing to alienate everyone who disagrees with you.
Yes.
And here's what I'm really finding. You know, Andrew, I'm the kind of guy, I love talking to people who disagree with me. I don't like talking to the choir all the time.
Yeah.
For instance, right now I've got every morning for coffee, I sit down beside a guy that was a Hollywood producer. He's 70 years old now. Mm-hmm. And from the Christian standpoint, he's about as left-wing as you'll ever find. Yep. Now, here's what I'm discovering. This is not the first conversation I've had like this. What I'm discovering is this. Number one, I, as an evangelical pastor, have no clue what he really believes. Yeah. And he, as a left-wing liberal, has no idea what Christianity really is and what it teaches. Yeah. So when I ask him, well, how do you view evangelicals? And for him to rattle off that, I say, no, that's not what we believe. Yeah. In his mind, we hate all immigrants. Yeah. Because he thinks, well, Trump's a Christian, and since Trump's a Christian, he hates, so the media tells him he hates all Christians. So Christians obviously hate all. No, that's not who we are. Yeah. We love all people. Does the evangelical church think that we should be vetting immigrants? Yes. Mm-hmm. Do we have a horrible immigration system in America? About the worst. Yeah. But no way. We love all people, which is a shock to him. Mm-hmm. And so I'll ask him, well, what about you people? You believe this, and this, and And I wish we had the time to go through everything that I've learned from him, but yeah.
Just moving, I suppose, beyond the stereotypes, going beyond the slogans and those sort of positions, calming things down, getting to know people who have different views than yourself. I mean, this is what Thoughts and Comments is about. Because if you only talk to people that you agree with, who's learning, I mean, honestly, where's the fun in that, Jeff?
Yeah. There's no fun in that, no. I think that it's incumbent upon church leaders and pastors to create a place within your congregation where, number one, your people realize that Jesus had such a heart for people that we consider to be outcasts. As a matter of fact, such a heart for them, he usually spent his time with those people. Yeah. And so if you can create that atmosphere in your church where people are saying, look, they're far. The only difference between me and this person over here is far from God is not because I'm better than them. Mm-hmm. And it's not because I'm more righteous. It's not because I'm smarter. It's because grace of God forgave me. So I want to get the grace of God to them. And then let's let the Holy Spirit work on refining and shaping and molding people.
This is I suppose, the Jesus model, to treat people as individuals, to meet them where they're at, one person at a time. Also, though, I mean, you are the senior pastor of a very successful, large, some would say mega church congregation in South California. You have an international media ministry as well. There's a balance in that, because in order to grow a congregation, in order to do the work that God has called you to do, you need to keep some of the people happy some of the time. Yeah. When you've got all of these divisions that are happening, yes, in society, yes, politically, but also within the church, that tension of being true to what God has called you to do, but also keeping some of the people happy some of the time, that's a balancing act. Right?
Well, believe it or not, Andrew, things have changed a lot since COVID, even in that aspect, because now my biggest challenge isn't getting people in our church. The biggest challenge isn't getting people in our church to open themselves up to different conversations, different religions in order to have conversations. Yeah. My biggest challenge now is that people in the church aren't living Christ-like lives. Wow. That they actually now, my big concern is now you have more people saying, well, maybe Jesus isn't the only way to God. Maybe all these religions are different paths and different roads. Yeah. So even though I'm not going to befriend these people and talk to them because I really don't like them, but at the same time, I'm just going to leave them alone because they'll be okay. And then I see them, I see the younger generation, well, not only the younger, all generations, I see them rejecting the biblical sexual ethic. Yeah. I see them rejecting the idea of marriage as a permanent thing. I see them rejecting the idea of purity. What we on our phones, what we hold in our hands, and what we allow ourselves to watch and view. So my bigger concern is, if the church is no different than the world, then why would the world want to come into the church? That's my big issue right now.
And the miracle that is happening, and it is happening here in New Zealand, it's happening in the UK, so that must be a miracle, right?
Absolutely.
That young people are coming to church. They're not coming to church because they've been invited by a friend or they saw a message on Christian media. They're just feeling, you know what? I think I want to go to church. They're getting on Google Maps. They're finding a church in their area. They're using AI to find a congregation. They're just rocking up because they know they want things to be different. Yeah.
They don't trust anyone. Yeah. They don't trust politicians. They don't trust leaders. boy, we pastors better be careful. This is a short window, Andrew.
Yeah, yeah.
If they come in and they feel like we're also trying to manipulate and power play them, we're going to lose an entire generation.
And this is the challenge, but also the opportunity, because if we cannot get our house together, as it were, that if the divisions and the name calling and the generalizations are as strong within the church, and I think most churches would say, we still struggle with that.
Yeah, we do. We're sinners.
But
for sure.
But honestly, it is the power of God that brought the people into that congregation.
Yeah.
Yes, there's pressure on us to get things right,
Yeah.
but trusting in God in that situation as well. It's in His hands, right?
Yeah, I often tell people, if you're here visiting and you're looking for a church that is perfect, please don't come here, because you'll ruin it. I mean, because we're all imperfect people. So, and that kind of helps a little bit. But you're right, there still should be a difference. There should be contrast.
Yeah, certainly, and a wonderful opportunity in this space. I mean, we're in this pre-Christmas season. We're heading towards Advent. There's a lot. There should be a lot to be hopeful. Certainly, an opportunity to share some faith and some love and some joy as we head towards Christmas. Looking ahead to the next year, though. You said 2025's been a good year for you.
Great year, yeah.
What does the new year hold for you, Jeff?
New Year's going to be, I think, and I don't want to sound like one of these, I don't want to sound like a pastor who thinks everything is always good, because I'm telling you, 2021, 22, and 23 were probably the most difficult years for me personally, being a pastor, and there were other issues other than COVID. 24, 25 has been great, and it's shown me again that you've really got to have a good team of people around you, no matter how good your vision is. You've got to have good people around you that buy into that vision, because 2026 for us, we've just gotten started. So let me give you a quick example, because it'd be too general. Just quickly. So when we realized all the Gen Zs were coming, when we realized you got a whole generation searching, looking, I realized I had to go back and teach the church presently that they could disciple the church future. So I decided to go away and write a discipleship curriculum, because I like the discipleship curriculum, but most of it's outdated now. And so I said, I'm going to rewrite this whole thing. So I rewrote it, told my chief of staff, hey, we need to get everybody in our church discipled, especially the next generation, so they remember what it really means to follow Jesus. So what does that mean? Well, it means I follow Jesus in all things. Even if I don't like it or agree with it, I still follow him. So we started that movement. And then what we're doing is we're sending them out into our valley 2 by 2 to start organic movements in our church. And I think in our valley, what's going to happen next year as we send them out, we're going to have a great experience in just going from growth to growth.
Now, that is exciting, and it kind of bridges that gap between, caring for those in the congregation and having for the heart for those that are lost, that are seeking, that are, in some cases, literally stumbling into your church week after week.
Yeah, stumbling is a good word.
Yeah, and finding an opportunity to articulate that, not leaving behind. Well, it is that leaving behind the 99 and searching for the one, but taking the 99 with you. I mean, I know I've wrecked this biblical metaphor.
No,
here,
I like it.
But it is saying, you know what, if we're going to do this, we need to do this together as a congregation. We need to be working together to disciple what God is doing in this space.
Can I make, as you get older, I'm 61 now, and I'm fighting it, really fighting it, as my wife would say. She said, you just need to embrace it. Well, I'm fighting it, but there's a freedom that comes with it. Let the old guy give us a little bit of a warning here in things that I've seen over the last 40 years. I'm all for having an experience of God. I mean, without my experience with God, where would I be? I love worship. I love experience, but can I just give the church a warning? You better start digging deeper. This next generation, you better teach them fundamental truths of Scripture. In other words, it's the difference between me telling you, hey, God's on your side, God's for you, you know. It's the difference between telling you that and explaining in Scripture why you can know that he's for you and he's on your side. And if you don't do that, they're looking for more than a pep rally. They're looking for some substance. And if we don't give that to them, then it'll just be another experience that they get along the way, and they'll keep moving on until they find faith.
The root's got to go deep.
And
you've got that brief window of opportunity. Something which I think is also happening spiritually, and I'd love to get your perspective on this, with the ministry that you have as an apologist, I suppose, giving people a reason for the belief that they have. the new atheist movement, has that died?
Died.
We've got it's almost created a vacuum for people to explore spirituality because that was found to be empty.
That is
you've
so
got a big
well.
smile on your face, Jeff. You're pretty happy about that.
Well,
right?
what happened is I was in London here about a year ago, and they took me into a studio and pointed a camera and some lights at me in this dark room and fired off questions for 2 hours. And they said, we're going to ask you some hard questions. Keep your answers within 60 seconds.
Yeah, wow.
And what I realized just by the substance of the questions, what I'd realized now is the new atheism went too far. That's the thing about the devil. He always overplays his hand.
Yeah.
It went too far, and it was just seen as ridiculous. So it did create a vacuum. You're the first person I've heard use that word. That's a really good description because you have a whole generation looking at it and thinking, hold on a minute, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something to this spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
So the new atheism created a pathway for a lot of people back to Jesus.
And in some ways as well, I suppose the new atheist way of looking at things also went, hey, it doesn't matter what you believe as long as you're sincere. There's a lot of sort of, with the identity politics, a lot of things have come from that and also perhaps tested and found wanting.
Yeah, I've had some of my best conversations with people who disagree with me politically by simply saying this. So what you're telling me is your political position is true. And what do you mean? I said, well, you're telling me my political position is false.
Yeah.
Your political position is true. And they'll say, well, yeah. I said, you know what? We're closer together than you think because I think my religion is true and yours is false.
Yeah.
And they can't come back with no. That's up to each individual. You believe it's your truth and my truth. Those days are gone.
Yeah.
Even on CNN about 3 weeks ago, there was a conversation going on, and one of the pundits said, I can't believe this politician because as soon as I heard the person say, there's really no truth, there's your truth and my truth, then I could never listen to anything they said after that because there's only one, there's only the truth.
Yeah.
And one of the other pundits said, no, that's not true. And there was silence. And everybody got it. And there's just laughter around the panel. And I thought, yep, that's where we are now.
With some of the cultural changes that are happening, it's also very interesting to see some unusual alliances that are happening in this space. Particularly, even had some conversations with people who would call themselves card-carrying atheists, who are concerned about what is happening with the political and ideological agenda that's happening, surprised to find themselves on the same side as conservative Christians because they're concerned about what's happening to society. Yeah,
well, we've always known that whether we admit it or not, most of the West especially is heavily influenced by Judeo-Christian values. As soon as you stand up and try to say that anything is right or wrong or we ought to do something, you don't realize that only comes from your Judeo-Christian background to where you think that there are human rights, where life is valuable, there's intrinsic value, that we shouldn't smack each other and kill each other because we don't agree with each other. And what happens as soon as you take that stand, you're appealing to a moral law that is heavily influenced by Judeo-Christian values, and that's why a lot of atheists found themselves in that camp.
And it is very interesting, not only with the failure of the new atheist movement, but atheists finding themselves on the same side as Christians. Yeah. God is definitely doing something as we wrap up 2025. Very exciting. Jeff, just as we wrap up for today, I just want to, I suppose, offer something to people who are big fans of the program, who have really been blessed and benefited from the ministry that you have and with the preaching that you bring each day to this program. I know we've got some feedback from a lot of people that are disappointed that they cannot be at the Christmas event tonight, either through finances or geography or just a busy time of the year. For Jeff Vines fans, and there is a large group out there, give us a little bit of a taste of what you'll be sharing. Not the full message, just a teaser and a taster. Where are you going tonight in the message that you present, Jeff?
Well, the one thing that Jesus answers, he answers a lot of our questions, but the one thing that Jesus addresses successfully over and above every other religious or philosophical system is the idea of struggle in our world and pain and tension, and what is his answer to it? And I like to remind people that you seldom find anything in Scripture where the angels in heaven get together and they say, okay, we're going to go down and do something incredible with the church. So let's go down first to make everybody's life real easy. And so it's almost like there is an agreement in a boardroom in heaven where God says, I'm going to do something amazing in New Zealand in the church.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something amazing in Australia. I'm going to do something amazing in Pastor Jeff's life. I'm going to do something amazing in Barbara's life, whoever. And what happens is your life's about to get really hard.
Yeah.
And that's where we are right now. You, as a Christ follower, you should look around and say, this tension is great because it's going to force people to really ask themselves, what do I believe really?
Yeah.
And just like you said, we've already seen people finding themselves in a camp that they never expected to see themselves. I love it.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of snippet, and I hope it's maybe we can record it, or maybe somehow we can make sure to get a copy of at least the transcript to some people. I'd be willing to do that. If someone would email me, let me give an email address that they could email. And if you would like a copy of the transcript of what I'm going to do tonight, I would love to send it to you.
I'm pretty sure we're going to be filming it as well, and likely to be on Shine TV. But Jeff, thank you for that. And it is that space, really, isn't it? When you've got to the end of your own resources, God's got your complete attention, and you're well placed for a miracle.
Yeah, he's not surprised, is he, by any of this?
Exactly. So even in tough times for some, as they get to the end of 2025, we're in a good place for God to do some amazing things in this country and in the world, and he's already starting to do some great things. Reasons to be optimistic for 2026. Jeff, it's been a pleasure to chat. Thanks so much for being on the program. Very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.